When I made my first game, I didn't start it with a clear plan. I didn't know how to organize stuff for the future. I didn't know the next stage or feature of my game. I was just endlessly doing things I wanted to. And yeah, sure, it was fun to develop, but I'm having way more fun, motivation, and purpose developing my current game after I learned from the mistakes from my first game. Now, please allow me to share my mistakes so that you don't have to do them yourself when you're developing your first game. Have a clear plan. Now, when you're developing a game, you always want to have an image in your mind about what the finished product is going to look like. And sure, this is going to change. It will change 100%, but it will help you move forward while you are developing it. And it would also help you to. So, for example, you can have an image in your mind about what the gameplay is going to be, but you also want to imagine what the size of the game is going to be, and also what platforms you're going to release it for. So, let's say you're building a mobile game. And you might think that you're going to first build the PC movement and then you're going to build the mobile movement because you're developing on PC, so you prioritize that. And this is an example of something I did. I didn't create my player movement in a way that it was easy to expand and add mobile movement in the future, even though that was the whole purpose of the game. It was going to be a mobile game. And that's simply because I didn't have an image in my mind about what the game was going to be. I just had a vague thought in my mind that this was going to be a mobile game. But I didn't adjust my development towards an end goal that I had in mind. And also you have to know the size of your project. If the project is going to be a big one, it's going to be like a fully fledged game. It's going to be like a fully fledged game with like abilities, achievements, upgrades, all that stuff. Then you have to use more time planning the architecture. Then instead of just endlessly programming, you have to spend a lot more time on planning an expandable architecture. And on the opposite side, if you know this is going to be a small project, like for example a game jam project, then you obviously don't have to spend that much time on planning and architecture. And the second mistake I made, which is probably the worst one, which I regret the most, is that I used AI way too much compared to my skill level. I used AI a lot, which I now regret. I learned less, which is the biggest downside, but I also was less efficient. I used more time developing the project than if I didn't use AI. Because when you are developing a game, you like learn progressively to like your skill becomes better as the game goes up. So you kind of get this thing where you get better at developing, but at the same time your game becomes bigger. But since you get better and also the game becomes bigger, then it won't become significantly harder to develop because you also are improving yourself whilst the game is becoming bigger. But when I used I didn't become any better. That's the thing. But the game got bigger. So it was significantly harder for me to develop the game in ending stages because my skills didn't improve accordingly. And I can understand my past self a bit, obviously, because when you use AI and you create something, it feels very productive because, like, sure, you got the result visually, and it feels very productive, really good, right? And it's all fun until it turns into a mess you can't navigate in. Quick tweaks take more time, so you end up being less efficient. You will have more random problems arise, again, less efficient, but also it's not future proofed. The worst of them all, you barely learn anything, and the game just feels less personal in general. The game doesn't feel like yours. And sure, you might think that that's not a big deal because, like, it's not a child, it doesn't need to be personal. But the thing is that it kills your motivation because you don't get any feeling of mastery and accomplishment from developing because you don't feel like you own this product. And that's what kills motivation, and it's going to kill your game dev journey if you continue. The next thing I regret is to focusing too much on these small details. So when I was developing my game Neon Surge, I remember I spent too much time on all these small details, which didn't really matter. I They are so unimportant that I can't even mention an example for you right now of something I did. Like they're so insignificant. I remember, and I remember I could use like an entire Saturday, like from 5 a.m. to like 7 in the evenings. I could work in the game entire day, like with pauses obviously, with breaks obviously. But at the end of the day, like the game didn't feel any visually different. Like it basically was the same game. Like if I accidentally launched this version and the version the day before, like if those were like if all the changes were reverted, it probably would take me a lot of time before I would actually notice because the changes I made was so insignificant. And I remember a lot of times when I would sit down to develop Neon Search, I would get this feeling that what did I even do this session? Because I was doing all of these small details. And maybe that also comes down to using AI, that I was being less efficient. But I was using AI at the same time that I was prioritizing the wrong things. And I think the cause of that specifically is laziness maybe, or a lack of planning. And also that you kind of get like a good feeling of a false sense of progress because you're doing these easy tasks, like doing things that don't give you any visual progress, like they feel kind of good because you have a lot of things on your to-do list maybe that you can move into the finished section or like cross off. Whilst if you have like a big, like it sounds stupid, but it's probably what I felt when I did this. But when you have this one big thing, you have like one check to cross, like on your to-do list. So it kind of feels less productive in a way, even though it's 10 times more productive. So if I prioritize bigger tasks in my development, it would probably 2 or 3 times x my development time. Because if you look at Neon Surge, it doesn't look like a big game, and it isn't really. But I spent like 7 months on this. 7 months, like a really really long time I spent. And something I came up with in my second game is like just a quick thing to remember. When you are sitting down to focus, like you are going to have a deep work session, then you should think with your brain. Like it should be hard. If it's not hard, then you are probably doing these small polishing things. That doesn't matter. Like you should solve hard problems that get you to think. Like when you're taking a break, for example, like going to the toilet, you should think of solutions to the problems you're facing. Because that's development, it's just problem solving. But when you're doing these small tweaks, like changing like a particle effect or something like that, it's not hard. It's very easy. You should spare those for when you have very low energy, like in the evenings, for example, when you're sleepy, or like whenever you have low energy or the end of your sessions. And this is also a topic I talk a lot about in my course, which you can look at in the link in the description. Now, the final thing that I kind of regret when I made my first game is to not market the game early enough. So I remember when I released my game, I was like kind of surprised actually that I got the recognition that I got, like in a good way, not a bad way. Like I got a few thousand views on my itch.io page, which is actually really good because itch.io is not good for like generic marketing. Actually, I'm going to see how many views I have. It was, let's see, 3,000, like 3,000 views and 105 downloads. And the thing I did was I basically just posted on Reddit. That was the only thing I did. Like I kind of spammed them a bit. Like some people got really angry at me for like spamming and like posting about my game, but who cares? Like I also like at the same time I got these people that didn't like me because I was constantly spamming the subreddit. I also got a lot of like supporters which gave me honest good feedback. And there was also one YouTuber who made a review of my game and just gave me tons and tons of valuable, really valuable feedback, which I can take in, which I'm going to remember for my sequel, my second game. And after the launch, with like the kind of Reddit marketing and stuff, and after I realized like how valuable feedback was and everything, I realized how much more of this really, really valuable feedback I could get if I marketed the game earlier. If I, for example, posted on Reddit earlier, I posted on YouTube. Like, there's a lot of things that I could do, like just small things like posting screenshots, talking about the game development, and stuff like that. If I just done those things earlier, like I'd get a lot more of this valuable feedback for my game. And getting feedback and getting people to play it, that's the best part of game development. So obviously I want more of that. So a thing that I'm going to remember is that I'm going to market my game much, much earlier, even though it might seem small or bad or whatever limiting beliefs you have. You should market your game really, really early, because marketing and getting feedback is honestly the best part of game dev. So why not get more of it? So that's everything I had for this video. Now, as I told you, I'm making my second game better, and in the next video I'll show you how. Now, thank you so much for watching, and if you are a part-time solo indie game developer, then you can click the link in the description for more awesome information just like this. Now, thank you so much for watching.